and every story can change the world. Together we are Global Speakers Talk.
Hey everybody, good morning. I wanted to talk to you today about my C.A.L.M technique. It's an acronym that I use. Anytime I find myself in a stressful situation, I use the C.A.L.M technique as a way to manage my emotions and just to keep things in perspective. So just kind of taking through really quickly what C.A.L.M stands for. The C is for content. And I was trying to find a way to describe and define content for you. So I thought the best way to do it is just to go with like a technical definition that I got from Google. And that is that it's the set of facts, background information, or surrounding circumstances that help explain an event or idea or statement. And then when it comes to A, that's our assumptions. Like what are some of the places where our mind jumps to conclusions about things? And oftentimes that's when we don't have enough information, enough facts to support our perceptions, then we start to jump to assumptions and jump to conclusions about what's going on in a particular situation. And then we want to try to apply logic to that. Like, okay, so these are my assumptions. These are some of the ways that I'm perceiving this particular situation. But what are some of the logical reasons why this is occurring? And what are some of the logical conclusions I can come to about the actual chain of events and how that's transpiring in front of me? And then one of the things we want to do then is to be able to take away meaning from the situation so that there's some growth that occurs, that we're able to process the experience and take away some learning points that help us grow as a person. So I'd like to share an example with you. So I had a client named Jason, and he works for a high-level technology company. I won't name them. Um, and so Jason he would go on Zooms, or sometimes these were in-person meetings, but he'd be on a Zoom chat, and there's always somebody, and in particular for him, it was like chief legal counsel. Now she would show up late sometimes, so that was off-putting for him. And then she would start to, every time he started to present and bring things up. Now, mind you, there's high-level people on this chat as well. So Jason's a little nervous, a little tense, context, right? And so then she starts to ask questions. She's questioning the presentation, sometimes in real time, almost as though she's not really paying attention. Things like, I'm not sure where you're going with that, or can you say more about that? I don't really understand. So what this was bringing up for Jason, and this is, good for us to be mindful of and understand our own triggers as well. He started to take things a certain way. He was getting offended by this person's interactions during these Zoom chats. And so there's an emotion that's elicited for him. But what we have to do then, because this is one of those stressful situations I was talking about in the beginning, we have to kind of step back from that and really understand the context. So part of that context is, okay, so I'm in a high-level meeting with everybody. And what does that mean? And what that means for me is like I have to keep my cool. If I start to lose my cool, if I start to get emotional, if I like sort of have some sort of a reaction to this person that's let's just say aggressive, or I'm trying to shut them down or put them in check, then that could create an outcome that I'm not looking for. And I always tell people, like, when you have an outburst like that, now we're not even talking about the topic. Maybe there was a topic that you guys are trying to discuss and work out. Now we have to set that aside and try and understand what happened. Like, what happened to you? Like, why did you show up that way and blow up at somebody? And so when we can understand that context, now we're sitting in, okay, this is what's going on. This is the meeting I'm in. These are the people involved in the meeting. What are some of my assumptions? And for him, some of those assumptions were, oh, she's doing this to show me up. Like, she's doing this to question me. She doesn't respect me. She's being disrespectful. And so we challenge that, and I asked them about that. And then sometimes in coaching, we start to understand the source of that. We want to draw out the source of those assumptions. And you really challenge that perception. Like, really, do you really think that she would go out of her way? Like, what does she have to gain by doing that? And really, like, even just to take a sidebar for a second, a lot of times it's like, where do those assumptions come from? Why do we have those assumptions? I kind of alluded to it earlier, but some of it's like a gap in information, right? Like, we don't know enough about that person. So we start to perceive that there's some sort of aggression there. Now, you get to know that person a little bit better and you build a relationship with them, then you start to understand that, well, look, yeah, maybe she has a relative in the hospital. Maybe she's distracted because, she's up last night. She has a baby at home. Maybe there's, something going on in her marriage. So there's all these other reasons why the person's showing up the way they are. Maybe she learns better by asking questions than trying to read through something. So we can utilize all those pieces of information by having that relationship with the person to reduce the likelihood that we're going to make assumptions and jump to conclusions. And then we want to apply logic. We want to go to a logical place and understand, like, okay, like, what are some of the options here for, like we talked about, the person's behavior? And really, if we're in a very logical, rational place, we understand that, like, look, this is part of her job as chief legal counsel to ask certain questions and get clarity. And look, this is all just part of the process of us growing as an organization and understanding how everything fits together so that we're operating in a very healthy way and doing things that are going to be healthy for the organization moving forward, like making sure that there are checks and balances and those sorts of things. And then when it comes to taking meaning away from this, I was able to help Jason understand that, like, okay, these are ways in which we get tested all the time. And he was a football player, ex-football player, so I use that as well to say, look, these are sort of these are game day adjustments that we make in real time, right? Like, something like that comes at you, and you've got to use this calm technique to stay grounded in the moment and learn from it and grow from it and understand those triggers so that they don't impact you the same way moving forward. It's one thing to have it once and you kind of feel a little bit of a reaction, but to learn to utilize that muscle to 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 stay in the moment, to understand the context, the assumptions, and the logic, so that you can then take away that meaning. Because that meaning for you really is to have that opportunity for growth and to really be grateful to that person for giving you that opportunity. It's like, okay, great. Now I have this opportunity where I'm processing this interaction with someone. What can I take away from it? Well, like we talked about, maybe I need to build a better relationship with that person. And that becomes critical. Like, your relationships at work are critical to your success, not just for the sake of, like, building a network and trying to get promotions and stuff like that, but even in situations like this where, and it sometimes might be an outside vendor, you want to understand that person better and know where they're coming from so that we can reduce those assumptions that come up from time to time. So now you might be thinking, well, that all sounds great, but how do I remain calm? And so one of the things I'd like to do with you right now is to do a meditation with you. And sometimes we think meditation is just taking a breath or pausing or even praying, if you will. But really, what I'd like to do with you right now is, if you're open to it, is to let's just go into a meditation for just a moment. Okay, so we just want to get comfortable and we want to relax with our eyes closed. And we're just going to breathe in and out through our nostrils. Feeling the chest rise and fall with each breath. Arms and legs are just hanging there like an old piece of rope. And we just want to be mindful of the thoughts that come up as we're doing this and just acknowledge them. Just maybe even be curious, like, I wonder where that's coming from. And then come back to the breath. And in a moment, we'll begin. Three, two, one. So we only did that for about 60 seconds, but imagine if you did that for about 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And I would invite you to even do that before you go into a high level meeting so that you can sort of calm your nerves and come into the moment very grounded, or even after a high level meeting. You might want to take a moment and just pause and take a few breaths and kind of process what occurred and what transpired during the meeting. I invite clients to do this when they get in the parking lot before they go into work, or even after work when you pull into the driveway or the garage at home. Just take a breath, because one of the two places our mind goes to typically, even if you're sitting here right now, your mind's in one of two places typically. It's either in the past or in the future, right? And so it's hard for us to stay in the present moment. It's so hard for us to stay grounded and continue to stay in the present moment of who we are and what we're experiencing in real time. And that's where those triggers come in. They come in from our past, or sometimes what we anticipate might happen in the future, which then creates anxiety. So the more we can take a deep breath and come into the moment. And by the way, 80% of all CEOs utilize some form of meditation to stay grounded in the moment and gain clarity on decisions that they need to make that are high level decisions. So I would invite you to utilize this as well to just help you, as I said, just stay grounded in the moment, process your thoughts, and even like, when you're thinking about, as I said before we started the meditation, about the curiosity thing, like, I wonder why that's coming up right now. Like I'm in this meeting, I'm having this thought that this person's out to get me. Like, really? And then that's where you can utilize that calm technique to sort of reassure yourself that, okay, yeah, I can see where that maybe comes from, what that triggers for me, but now I can show up a different way in these meetings and learn to manage my stress and emotions and just keep things in perspective. So, uh, it's been a pleasure to share all this information with you. And please, if you'd like to reach out to me, my website is www.gazcoaching.com. And I would love to chat with you about this more. If you fill out a request form, I'd be happy to get in touch with you and chat with you more about this. And it's been a pleasure to be a part of this Global Speakers Talk. So I think we
Together we are Global Speakers Talk.